So fresh. Thanks, rock. Bring the barcode, most step. Just make it so fresh. E-E-A-T-N S-A-B-C. So easy, so easy. I'm from the ghetto, we footwork, our routine is seamless. Gully with the dirty booty rubbing on my peen. Billie Jean genius, running through my jeans. Sweat on me, mommy, we can reenact the scene. With Rosie Perez and Spike Lee, accidentally see. Concentrate straight whiskey, Alizé or Grenadine. And we can freak it till the day or till the dawn like Adina. And bang like Busy P or private dance like Tina. Till you ready to up, like Anna or Fees. What record got you breaking down to your knees and clutching your claws? It's just the Jesus, ease up, please just hold me closer, tiny boys. Do it, dance, come on. Turn the music up, turn it up, turn it up. Spin around, baby, come on, yeah. I know you feel it now, yeah, yeah. I know you feel it now, yeah, yeah. I know you feel it now. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. You with rock now, yeah. Put your hands up, come on. Party people, get down, woo, yeah. Just clap with me, yeah, yeah. Just clap with me, come on. Just clap, clap. Just clap, clap, clap. Look, clap, clap. Boy, get mad, they love it's me. D-E-F effectively, B-K-L-Y and N-Y-C with Justice Bank technology. Swing and dip and rock with me. You got it good, it's plain to see. What it do, what it is, with the biz, with the beat. It's E-F-F from fresh and free. Dance, come on. You can do it. Turn the music up, move around now. Hey, turn around, baby, come on. Yeah, I know you feel it now. Yeah, yeah, I know you feel it now. Yeah, yeah, I know you feel it now.
Under the spotlight, neither black nor white. It doesn't matter.
You can do it.
As strong as you
Let's go.
working day and
Day and night.
whatever happens.
Party people, get down. Woo. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. You can do it. Do it. Do it. You can do it. Do it. Do it. Yeah. F-R-E-S-H-O-T. Come on. B-K-L-N-Y-N-C. Justice and technology. Music got a hold on me. Spanking, rockin', fire and free. So fresh. Feels good, y'all. So fresh. Justice is so fresh. Most rappers bank rock. So fresh. Meet me downtown with a boss. So fresh. Fully fitted in the house. We so fresh. Benny Blanco. So fresh. Man, the Black and P Little. So fresh. Philly in the house right now. We so fresh. It's so fresh.
To our first ever TEDxYouth event at ISBangkok. Now, first off, I'd like you to turn off all your cell phones. Please, guys, this is really serious. We need to turn them off. The frequencies can interfere with our mics, so not on vibrate, not on silent, off. And second off, the bathroom is just out there, so just out these doors. Please rise for the King's Anthem, performed by our very own a cappella choir. I'm Ben.
And I'm Tarini, and we're going to be your MCs for tonight. Wasn't it just great to hear the beautiful voices of our a cappella choir and to see our dancers bring out the letters? Thanks for that. Thanks to Ms. Price and Mr. Giles for integrating the arts into our event so well.
An idea cannot be created out of anything except inspired imagination. This is one of TED's founding ideals, and this is exactly what has happened with our speakers tonight. Last month, each ISB junior had to present a TED Talk of their very own. Some were good and some were less good, but every kid had a voice.
One student was selected from each class to deliver their speech to a global audience at ISB's first ever TED Talk. That's right, guys, first ever TED Talk. And you're the lucky audience. And you're the lucky audience to get to hear these inspiring individuals.
So, Tarini, did you get picked?
Nah, I didn't make the cut. I thought I was pretty awesome, though. I mean, I did a magic trick, and I talked about email scams. How cool is that, right?
That's pretty cool.
You know what? I demand a recount. How about you, Ben?
No, I didn't get picked. So, Tarini, can you tell me what TED stands for?
I know what you're thinking, Ben, and no, it's not the 2012 movie starring Mark Wahlberg and a talking bear. TED actually stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. And since 1984, TED has been promoting new ideas in their hope to change
lives, attitudes, and ultimately the world.
We'll get that right next time.
Chris Anderson, the curator of TED Talks, grew up like many of us have, as a third culture kid. He then proceeded to become exceedingly wealthy. His idea was simple. An idea can travel globally in the blink of an eye. This is what inspired our English department here at ISB to ask every single IBHL English student to create a TED Talk of their very own.
Today, we're going to have 9 extremely powerful and unique individuals give talks that they truly feel are worth spreading. And we're going to keep the night humming, and you'll also get a short little break in the middle. So,
there's a movie, right?
Yeah, there's a short TED Talk being shown too. Anyway, our first speaker is an Eagle Scout and Taekwondo enthusiast who spent 5 years listening to his father give talks and spread awareness about a very serious issue. Now it's his turn to spread his own ideas about this with you. Let's give it up for Brandon Friedman.
For the past 5 years, I have listened to my dad give dozens of talks on counter human trafficking, and I've been horrified by some of the stories that I've heard. Given my exposure to this issue for the past couple of years, I've discovered the importance of informing others and inspiring them to get involved. Close your eyes and think back to when you were 16 years old. You're probably thinking about spending time with friends and family, going to school, and maybe even getting your first job. For most of us, this was a very happy, carefree time in our lives. But this is not the same for everyone. Let me introduce you to a young man from Cambodia named Tith. Tith became a victim of human trafficking at the age of 16. He left Cambodia in order to get a job in Thailand, where he was promised work on a fishing boat. They told him that the work would be easy and that they would pay him a large sum of money, $600 a year. He spent the next 4 years of his life working on that boat for 19 hours a day, 7 days a week. He slept in a single small cabin with 14 other slaves. They ate 2 small meals a day of fish and rice. If you got sick, you were thrown off the boat. If you complained, you were thrown off the boat. If the captain didn't like you, you were thrown off the boat. 4 grueling years later, he was taken back to the docks, and when he finally asked for his money, the captain told him, "You're Cambodian. You are in Thailand illegally. I don't have to pay you. I can call the police and have you deported back to Cambodia." Tith, now 20 years old, had attempted to return to his family, but they had not heard from him, had assumed he was dead, and moved away. Tith was a slave. Now, when people think about modern-day human trafficking, what do you think pops into mind? The first thing that usually pops into mind is the sex industry. But there are many other forms of forced labor which are seldom discussed, and that is why I chose to talk about them today. According to the United Nations, this is a list of all of the countries in the world that are not associated with slavery in any way. Don't you wish your country was up there? According to the United Nations, there are 21 million slaves in the world. That is 21,000 men, women, and children. To put this number into perspective, if you were to put all of these people onto ships the size of the Titanic, you would need 10,000 of these ships. The number of these people associated with the fishing industry is currently unknown, but it is clear that this affects the lives of the victims as well as their families. So why do people recruit and use slaves? It's simple. Money. Slavery is a huge industry with only a small amount of money being used to fight it. To put this into perspective, this is the amount of money spent annually to combat human trafficking. $350 million. This is the annual worldwide profit from human trafficking. $32 billion. You can see why this issue is so hard to tackle. This is an important issue. We need to raise awareness. We need to talk about this. We need to work together to solve this issue through direct response. We need to stand up and make this issue go away, because it will stay with us until we do. So what is being done to bring this to an end? There are many organizations around the world working to combat human trafficking, such as the United Nations, non-government organizations, and governments. But as they keep forging ahead, for every step they take, the traffickers seem to be gaining ground on them and causing them several major issues. For example, the countries that have these fishing vessels don't always want to address it out of fear of it harming their economy. One recently proposed idea is to seek help from neighboring countries in order to increase inspections and enforce stricter control over these boats. We need to advocate for international labor laws and use them as a means to address and fight this nightmare. So how would this work? These neighboring countries would identify the boats breaking the labor laws and confiscate them. If the boats were found to be using slave labor, they would not be given back. So, in order to prevent losing a $500,000 boat, simply to save a couple $1,000s, the boat owners would think twice about using slaves. So, whose problem is this? It's the slave's problem. It's the country's problem. It's my problem. And it's your problem, because we are all a single species of human, and we all have to work together to make sure that no person is treated like this, that no person has to suffer like the 21 million suffering right now. So what can we do while these organizations do their job? I mentioned the huge discrepancy in funds earlier that puts the anti-trafficking groups at a major disadvantage. Should we simply throw money at the issue and hope it gets better? Of course not. We need to build momentum and raise awareness. Funding is just a minor part of the solution to this incredible problem. Here are 2 easy things that you can do to help. First, go to this website and others like it. This will give you a list of all of the products known to be associated with slavery. Don't buy them. And consider switching to a brand that pays their workers a fair wage. If a company uses slave labor, send them a letter of concern, urging them to stop. Second, do exactly what you are doing right now. You are listening to me. You are educating yourselves. Education is the greatest key to fixing an issue. When you go home tonight, learn more about the topic. Spend 10, 20, 30 minutes surfing the internet for information, and maybe it will inspire you to help. Share this with family, friends, colleagues. The more we spread the word, the more attention this travesty against mankind will get. The more people who know, the less who don't. I have grown up in a world where slavery exists. And I hope that someday, when I have kids, they'll be able to live in a world free from slavery, thanks to the work that the anti-trafficking community is doing now with your help. Thank you.
Wow, that was such a powerful, moving speech, Brandon. You know, I keep hearing about the aid that goes into human trafficking, but never really think about the scale of the issue itself. It might make us think about the things we buy and where they really come from. In fact, be sure not to miss Traffic Jam Club's Battle of the Bands this Saturday night, which helps fundraise for human trafficking. So who's up next, Ben?
I'm glad you asked, Tarini. Our next presenter is ambitious and intelligent. Through trips to India, these trips to India have let her see people in their most desperate states. She will speak to us tonight about how we can aid this dilemma. Please welcome Anuka King.
Thank you, Ben. Brandon, I feel strongly about the humans under captivity. Maybe we can help free them through self-empowerment. Good evening. I'm Anuka. I visit India often to learn an Indian classical dance called Bharatanatyam. Some of you may have seen me on stage giving Indian dance performances, but that's not why I'm here today. During my several trips to Chennai, I observed my family's cook Manikam and maid Parvati, who came down from their villages when we called them to come and work for us. They seemed very hardworking, smart, and honest. And though they were paid generously, my mind always drifted to wondering what they would do if they truly had a choice to learn some skills and have an education like you and me. But with empowerment, what would change in their lives? I wondered and looked at 3 success stories of rural empowerment projects in India that have revolutionized the nation, and I'm happy to share them with you today. Amul, or the Anand Milk Union Limited, is one such story. Before Amul, rural Indian women had to travel far to try and sell all their milk on one day, else it would spoil. In return, they earned pittance. Amul centralized milk production, which prevented spoilage, enabling women to earn daily incomes and get paid deservingly. Amul also promoted democracy by giving the dairy farmers themselves the control over the selling, processing, and marketing. Today, Amul is a great economic success, combined with its classically comical ads, as you can see. Can't raise a toast? Try butter. As stated by The Economist, empowerment of the rural people was the real aim, and milk merely the best tool available. Amul created the white revolution, not only skyrocketing India's milk production, but also uplifting the social and economic status of rural producers, especially women. All in all, Amul has shown us the power of single commodity projects to have multi-dimensional impacts. Going back a few years in history is the story of Khadi. Gandhi believed that empowering Indians would gain them their independence. So he empowered through the charkha, or the spinning wheel. Rural men and women alike used the spinning wheel to make homespun cloths and refrain from having to buy the unaffordable British manufactured clothes. It was a huge step towards gaining economic independence and defying British dominance. Today, I am proudly wearing a khadi blouse and jewelry that has helped rural folks gain self-reliance.
For the next 5 years, Gandhi seemingly retired from active agitational politics and devoted himself to the propagation of what he regarded as the social and economic needs of the nation. The charkha, or the spinning wheel, as a concrete symbol of rural self-sufficiency, became a passion with Gandhi, who projected the wheel as a national necessity, which would supplement the slender resources of the poor.
The last story I want to talk to you about is Sewa, or the Self-Employed Women's Association in Gujarat, India. This is a project based on Gandhi's principles. Sewa's first goal is to give poor rural women full employment so that they are cared for financially in terms of work, income, and food security. And Sewa's second goal is to teach self-reliance, through lessons like literacy, which help these women make their own decisions and solve their own problems. Like Nandubin Srimali, who is a Sewa worker. She says, "I work night and day to keep my children in school. Then one day, a senior midwife in my village wanted to teach me her work. And so I learned slowly to be a midwife. Then I also learned about Sewa. Today, I'm a full-time barefoot doctor and trained midwife. I've organized 50 midwives to join Sewa and our midwife cooperative. Last year, I was elected to my village executive committee. Health knowledge and skills help more women during childbirth. I feel like I have been born again after I joined Sewa and my village cooperative. I make a living as a midwife from the cooperative. My dark days are over now, and I feel stronger and secured." So, why is empowering rural men and women important to you? Well, you yourselves as students are learning to be empowered for the future. We often think of the less fortunate as those we can help, but we forget that they can help us as much or even more, only if they are self-reliant or empowered. So why don't each of us get committed to supporting one rural folk to become empowered? I realize that my trips to India will not be complete unless I become a part of the empowerment needed in Parvati and Manikam, my domestics. Amul, Gandhi, and Sewa have shown us how empowered rural workers have developed individually and collectively, and even revolutionized a nation. Why? Because to spin khadi or to make your country's rural people self-reliant is the way to a nation's development. So I leave myself and you the next steps. Can we initiate and expand empowerment projects starting in ISB, like attending this Saturday's Battle of the Bands, hosted by Traffic Jam, an organization which works to empower trafficked individuals, and move on to empowering rural Thai people, to entire Thai villages, and finally, other developing nations. Thank you.
Thanks, Anuka. I never knew milk could have such a big impact. Man, doesn't a glass of milk sound good right now?
Wait for intermission, Ben. Anyway, our next presenter is a very diverse junior who has not only lived in 5 different Southeast Asian countries, but loves playing sports, and he says that he wants to do something fulfilling in his life every day. And also, he's kind of got the coolest name of the night. So let's give it up for Javier Del Rosario.
Hi, as many of you may know, my name is Javi, and I'm currently a student at ISB. In the past 8 years, I've moved from Jakarta to Singapore to Malaysia and now here to Bangkok. And in each country, I've received a message. No matter how presented, whether it was online, a poster, a billboard, or a guest speaker, this message has been the same. And finally, it's my turn to present it to you. This is an adorable tiger cub. This cub will grow up to be this, a fierce yet regal adult tiger. What happens next? Does it live a long and happy life? This is the awful fate of the remaining wild tigers left in the world. Illegal wildlife trade decimates endangered animal populations, puts its victims through the worst forms of torture, and exploits the value of these animals and their parts. In countries around the world, the trade is flourishing. And to be more specific, Thailand is one of, if not the largest center of illegal animal trade. You may be asking yourself, is illegal animal trade in Thailand really that big and have that negative of an impact? The truth is, it really does. I want you to think of it as a vicious chain of events. Please remember this chain. The first link is the word stolen. Young animals less than a year old are ripped from the embrace of their parents or forced to watch their parents shot, stabbed, or crushed in front of their eyes. Now, I was going to say, imagine this happening to you, going through this at such a young age, but even the slightest thought is terrifying. How can we fear this idea so much when we let it happen to hundreds of animals every single day? Now, the second link of the chain is the word torture. After being seized from their homes, animals endure whatever intentions the poacher has. This could be either illegally sold as pets, or worse, for their parts. The animals sold for pets are kept in the worst possible conditions. For example, bear cages found in Malaysia and Thailand. These bears grow up to be the size of an adult man and are forced to live in cages like this. These cages prevent them from moving laterally, and they are in there for up to months at a time. Now imagine the last plane ride you took, stuck between two annoying siblings or two random people, and you weren't able to move for the duration of this flight. Now imagine that same situation, but instead of 4 hours, it's 20 days. I know I would lose my mind. The other reason to capture animals is for their parts. Captured animals are brought to a slaughterhouse, where their prized body parts are taken and distributed to the rest of the world. In Bangkok, a slaughterhouse was found right in the heart of the city. For example, cheetah corpses, lion corpses, elephant corpses, and giraffe corpses were found. I was about to say, oh, never mind. These animals are first killed through many different ways. This includes stabbing, beating, beheading, and electrocuting. Now, the animals on the block, meaning the animals waiting to die, are often tortured just for the fun of the people. Now, this slaughterhouse is a great example of how they're very well concealed within a city. Without a shred of doubt, these animals were tortured before or until the point of death. These animals suffered just so illegal wildlife trade had more items up for sale. Now, the next two links of the chain go together, the words ordered and paid. After all the parts are collected, the underground business begins. Gangs, shops, and people around the world order and pay for their section of animal trade. These are some common examples of items that are sold in the animal trade. Thailand plays a huge role in this section because it is connected to continental Asia, as well as it is very close to Malaysia and the Philippines, where most of the animal parts are produced. Thailand receives the orders and payments as it is in the middle of both ends. For example, 14 tons of pangolin meat from Indonesia and heading for China was found in a container in Bangkok. By the way, a single pangolin weighs around 17 pounds, meaning there was around 1,600 dead pangolins in that container alone. That is another reason why illegal wildlife trade needs to stop here. This country accounts for more than its own share of illegal animals and their parts. Now, I wasn't here today just to tell you about the horrible path from the start of illegal wildlife trade to the end, but hopefully I gave you some insight and detail on what actually happens when an animal, not just in Thailand, goes through this path. With this new information, I want you to be able to take action. Now, I'm not saying go down to Central World and start a protest, but if ever presented with the opportunity to help, whether it's a petition, a donation, or to stop buying products from areas like JJ Mall, I want you to take it. Just think of the painful journey you can prevent an animal from taking. And if you've forgotten this journey, just remember the word stop. Stop animals from being stolen, tortured, ordered, and paid for. Thank you.
Thanks, Javi. Those tigers really do deserve to be free from torture. Kind of like us from Mr. Jazz's English class, right?
Our next speaker is originally from Indonesia, but she's also lived in Geneva for 4 years prior to Bangkok. When she grows up, she wants to be a lawyer and is here tonight to talk to us about bullying. Please welcome Mutiara Windraskinasi.
You laughing at ya? Go, Richard, go. Well, this is getting sad, bro. Okay, guys, just keep recording. Keep recording. Look at that. Who's that in the background? Come here, I think you need to back up on me. You're right.
I've had enough of this, said Casey heinous as he fought against his bully. When Casey stood up for himself after being punched repeatedly, it was an inspiration for teenagers around the world that have suffered from a similar situation. While we can advocate that the response to bullying be violence, one has to be able to defend themselves. Casey has done his part. Demi Lovato was also bullied throughout middle school. She was bullied because people thought she was fat, and that made her suffer. She went through a phase where she would cut herself, and ultimately, the external pressure resulted in a severe eating disorder. However, she came up from her shell of misery by ignoring her bullies, and look at her now. She's a young, successful singer. Demi has done her part. But Morgan Musin, a 13-year-old girl, decided to end her life because she wasn't as strong as Demi and Casey. She was bullied because she was only 6 foot tall. Being that tall made her so different. But the questions are, why do people bully each other? Is it to feel superior to others? Is it because someone is different? Well, does this give people permission to harass someone? No, these aren't excuses for bullying someone. According to CNN, 1 of 3 teens has been bullied in school, and 2 of 3 teens believe that their friends were targets for bullying. Another survey published by Family First Aid found that 30% of teenagers in the US have been involved in bullying, either as the victims or as the bullies. Bullying can be in a physical, verbal, emotional, or even virtual these days. Bullying can cause teenagers to have mental trauma, physical injuries, or even worse, it could lead to suicide. Suicide itself is the 3rd leading cause of deaths among teenagers. And a study from Britain clarified that half of suicides among teenagers are related to bullying. These are all certain statistics that I found from the internet, and they're easy to find. It's a lot to take in, right? These are the facts, and we have to deal with them. And by saying to deal with them, I mean to take real actions to stop and change those frightening data, so we and others can sleep without nightmares, knowing that there will be no more victims. From all of the many cases of, we are fortunate to live in an international environment where physical bullying does not occur as often. However, stereotyping and labeling still happen. It is often ignored as we consider it to be normal, but that's not okay. It is the simple things that sometimes cause stress. Many people stereotype Asians as being good in math. And this places undue pressure on students. And when they aren't good in math, they are made to feel inferior. While in some cases it could be true, but it is unfair to put this positive stereotype onto all individuals. For instance, I consider myself as an average student in math class. And yes, I am Asian, don't be so surprised. I, however, don't let the pressure get to me. From all of the many cases of bullying, people and maybe one of us will feel sorry and say, hey, this is horrible, let's make a difference. And the next day, when we see someone who is being bullied, we'll just walk away. Admit it. At least you know of and have heard someone who is being bullied and you did nothing. It takes more than words to stand up against bullying. You can see that our generation, along with many in the past, is in a big trouble because of this matter. Our generation may be losing its feeling for compassion and empathy to others. Our generation, by allowing this to continue, is energizing the heartless bully robot to continue on. I want to emphasize several main points that could help or at least decrease the amount of bullying around school or in any setting. Firstly, awareness is a significant step for teenagers and adults. It is important to understand more about bullying and acknowledge the issue. Secondly, the role of adults at school. Teachers and counselors should inform how dangerous bullying is. The role of adults at home have an obligation to teach their children that it is not okay to hurt someone, physically or even verbally. Third, if you see any type of bullying occurring near you, please stand up for the victim. I know that it takes a lot of courage, but defending the victim will often call attention to the bully, and hopefully they will feel ashamed and leave. Or if necessary, involve an adult if it doesn't feel safe. With all these things in play, it is less likely that the bullies will repeat their actions. Now, let's make a change by following these steps. Let's help our generation to find that light of peace, a light that will help us to be a better society and to live with harmony, because each of us deserves to be treated well. Imagine going to school without worrying someone will bully you. So come on, rise from your seat, stand up and say, I've had enough of this. Casey Haynes stood up was the last resort. Let's make sure he's not cornered again. Be the person who saved someone from taking his or her life. Be the one who knows that it is not okay to hurt someone else. Our generation knows better than this. Our generation is not going to be the same. Our generation is going to make a difference. Thank you.
Thanks, Mutiara, for that very refreshing and real talk about school life. Can you tell us who's up next, Tarini?
Well, up next, we have probably one of the most involved and talented students I've ever known. Someone who's traveled from Bangkok to Geneva, Hanoi, New Jersey, and back to Bangkok in the past 17 years. But with her, she's always carried her thirst to inspire and to be inspired. She hopes that she can spread a spirit of compassion, hope, and peace. So let's give it up for Benya Kraus.
Thank you, Tarini. Thank you, Ben. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to share a little story with you. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Cinderella who lived in an abusive family. Since she was never allowed out and mice were her only friends, I think it's safe to say she was pretty sexually frustrated. But then, one night, she snuck out to a party and she met the hottest guy ever. In the span of a couple hours, they were madly in love. And by the next morning, Prince Charming's testosterone levels were raging high. So he chased her all over town so they could get married and live happily ever after. This is a story that I and many of you grew up with. It was my guide on how love is and should be. Disney taught us that love was that stir of passion inside you, the butterflies that fluttered in your tummy. But what Disney doesn't teach us is that after a while, all of that stuff disappears. And instead of getting her happily ever after, 10 years down the road, Cinderella is actually stuck with this and this. I'm just a 17-year-old high school girl. I've never gotten married, had a family of my own, or really had that much experience in the dating field myself. But in my 17 years, I've seen Huffington Post report that 10.6% of the adult US population is or has been divorced. I've seen Kim Kardashian marry Chris Humphries and then break up 72 days later. I've seen Britney Spears marry her high school sweetheart for a record of 55 hours. I've seen my best friend's family crumble from a devastating divorce. I've seen affairs happen right before my eyes. And I've seen that distant look between parents who try to make it seem like everything's okay, when in reality, they don't even sleep in the same bed anymore. I may be 17, but I know that love is not like how it is in fairy tales. In fact, in the United States, more than 1 million children each year experience the breakup of their families. According to sociologist Andrew J. Cherlin, what is significant about the contemporary American family compared to that of any other nation is their combination of frequent marriage, frequent divorce. According to Time magazine, there are more partners in the personal lives of Americans than in the lives of people of any other Western country. So, why does this happen? If love is till death do us part, then why does it just go away? Perhaps it is because of the new way society has taught us to define love.
You can't stop thinking about the person. Whenever you see them, you would just be happy.
You never get like bored of being around them.
Excitement, I guess, and happiness. Like it's supposed to make you feel really good.
They make you happy. Bubbly and happy.
You're always smiling and stuff.
Feels like candy exploding in my mouth with sour stuff coming out.
All the romantic comedies, celebrity gossip, reality TV shows, they teach us that love consists of passion, or as Kevin says, that candy in your mouth. No one ever films the boring, stable relationships. Today's media glamorizes that feeling of nausea, that tingly sensation, that constant obsession, that inability to think of anything else except for that person. Kind of makes love sound like cocaine. And if we buy into Kesha's teachings and believe that your love is my drug, then how can it ever be sustainable and long-lasting? Because like a drug, passion has its highs and lows. It's there one moment and gone the next. The problem in today's society is that we confuse love with passion. We are taught to believe that a healthy relationship is one steaming with passion. Our partner is supposed to make us happy 24/7, and if things aren't constantly fun and easy, well then, that's not a good relationship. The truth, though, is that no one can make us happy all the time. As humans, we're not perfect. So why do we expect our partner to be? Another question. What do we consider to be love? The Department of Psychology at Stony Brook University has conducted research to tell us that love goes through many phases. Studies of brain scans tell us that dopamine, the chemical representing passionate love, is at its highest levels at the beginning and final stages of a relationship. Or, in other words, the honeymoon phase and the time when the kids finally leave the house. But what happens in the middle? Do you just stop loving each other once your relationship has established its predictable routine? According to Stony Brook University, the answer is no. Instead, love takes on a new form. The dopamine levels start to decrease as it is physically impossible for any human being to maintain such a high level of dopamine all the time. And instead, it turns into companionate love. That's the kind of love we associate with intimacy, the closeness and comfort that results from a routine and stable relationship. However, when the passionate love fades away, we are socially wired to say, hey, something's wrong here. This isn't like how it is in The Notebook. When does Ryan Gosling run after me and kiss me in the rain? We take the stability and lack of passion as signs that our relationship is no longer positive, that we no longer are in love, and we give up. This is not to say that passion is not an important part in a relationship. Passion plays an extremely important role. But it is also a common myth to believe that once passion disappears, there's no way of getting it back. Because that's the thing with passionate love. It's so inconsistent. It comes and goes in flashes and spurts, but companionate love, that's the love that stays. That's the love that can handle the fights, the routine boredom, the little annoyances. But the problem is, we leave before we give it a chance. I don't know all the answers to love. I mean, I'm figuring it out as I go. But I think love is more than just that butterfly feeling. Because unlike that butterfly feeling, real love doesn't go away. I mean, sure, it changes, it gets hard, and sometimes things really suck. But you stick with it. Because no matter how frustrated they make you, at the end of the day, they're the only person who understands you. who listens to you when they have no idea what advice to give, who gets your pathetic sense of humor when no one else seems to. I may only be 17, but I know that this, and this, and this is what real love is. Companionate love, that's the love that counts. Passionate, well, that's only a part of it. Passion does not guarantee a happily ever after. Happy endings only happen when you work for it and give companionate love a chance. If only Disney taught us this. Thank you.
Trini, will you marry me?
Nah, Ben. You'll just be gone in 10 years, like Benya said.
Thanks, Benya. For this next talk, we're going to need some audience participation. So, when our speaker needs it, we need you to say green tea. Here, let's practice now. Green tea. Oh, come on, guys. You can do better than that. Green tea. Perfect. All right. So, let's welcome Hinako Murai.
Welcome to my tea house. Hi, I am Hinako Murai. As you can notice from my name, I am Japanese. As a Japanese, I am by definition one of the people who lives the longest. The average lifespan for a Japanese woman is 85.9 years old. 85.9. One reason they live longer is because they drink green tea. You may doubt this, but it is the truth. First, I would like to ask, how much do you know about green tea? Some people may not like hearing these words green tea because it has its unique taste, which some people really dislike. Often when people hear these words, they may imagine of a green-colored bitter drink, but not the positive effect of it. That is because there is more you need to know about green tea. I have knowledge about green tea because I have been drinking it from a young age and continue to do so each and every day. I would like to share my expertise with you today. You will be surprised with the many miraculous effects of drinking green tea. And the good news is that you don't have to be Japanese or be in Japan to enjoy these benefits. Green tea can be easily found in your own backyard here in Thailand. Some of the main benefits of green tea are lowering cholesterol, preventing cancer, obesity, diabetes, heart attacks and strokes, and sanitizing. Although the scientists found out that there are more than 10 great benefits of green tea, I would only like to introduce 3 main effects for now. Fact number 1, green tea helps you live longer. Green tea contains an antioxidant which kills free radicals in our body and helps to slow down our aging process. In other words, it keeps us young and healthy. Please look at this picture. This is a rotten apple and a fresh apple. This rotten apple has not been soaked with anything, but this fresh, crisp, and juicy apple has been soaked with green tea. This is an example for apples, but green tea is also effective to our skin as well. As you can see from this picture, there are green tea soaps, green tea face packs, and green tea hot springs. These are all products to keep us young and beautiful. Fact number 2, green tea helps sanitize. Did you know that green tea can be also used as a sanitizer? Green tea contains an antioxidant which kills bacteria and is a very effective way used for washing hands and washing dishes in China. Green tea is also effective to our body as well. They kill more than 10 types of strong and harmful bacteria. Amazingly, 1 milliliter of green tea can kill 10,000 bacteria. Thus, it is obvious to see green tea as a sanitizer can protect our bodies from uncountable dangers. Fact number 3, green tea fights cancer. This is one of the most popular and main health benefits for drinking green tea. Green tea contains an antioxidant which is much more effective than vitamin C and vitamin E, which kills cancer cells with no ill effect on healthy cells. Research found out that people who drink more than 10 cups of green tea each day were able to delay cancer 5 years longer than the people who does not drink green tea. Green tea delays the outbreak of cancer in organisms such as liver, lungs, stomach, and large intestines. Again, another reason why we should be drinking green tea. Isn't it amazing how much green tea benefits us? Many people suffer from health issues since there are many artificial and unhealthy drinks in the world. The benefits of green tea can get us better health. So, I strongly claim that now is the time for the unhealthy people to make a change. A revolution to change the beverages they put in their bodies. What I would call for is a green tea revolution. I mentioned that people who have health issues should start the green tea revolution, but you're not exceptional as well. We never know when we will get health issues. So, I suggest that we take more opportunities to drink more green tea. I suggest a green tea revolution in ISB. What if we sell green tea in the cafeteria? For people who do not like the taste, they can dilute it by adding water and making the taste less stronger. Even if the taste is less stronger, the main benefits of green tea will remain. I will guarantee great health benefits to you. The truth that there were no green tea sold in the cafeteria was shocking to me. In a hotel I visited in Japan, the water fountain included green tea instead of water. Can you believe it? Some people were brushing their teeth with green tea. But believe it or not, green tea prevents cavities as well. So now I've convinced you. Let's change the way we think. Let's make our lives healthier. Let's begin to drink more green tea. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Hinako. Hey, Ben, will you make me a cup of green tea after this?
You want green tea, but you won't marry me, huh? I see how it is. Well, our next presenter is a 3-sport varsity athlete who is half Korean, half American. In her free time, she likes to head the service club Shining Hope, which raises funds for less fortunate people in Kenya. Please give it up for Leanne Shadell.
Hi everyone, it's great to see you out tonight. It's been like 2 seconds, Ernie. John Bradley can't keep his eyes off a girl. But I mean, I get it. She's really pretty, isn't she? She's got long hair, long legs, nice skin, and pretty much everything else you could ask for. And I know some of you are probably thinking, why can't I have those legs? Don't worry, I'm pretty damn jealous too. My name's Leanne Shadell, I'm 16 years old. I go to the International School of Bangkok. I play sports all year round, volleyball, basketball, softball. I have a great group of friends. And I'm smart, but I don't think I'm beautiful. Do you think you're beautiful? Are you satisfied with your hair, your legs, your butt, your stomach, and your face? About 80% of the people in this room, boys and girls, just said no. You, for instance, maybe you want longer and straighter hair. Maybe, Daddy, maybe you want your high school body back. And you no, Amelie, you're like a Victoria's Secret model or something. According to CNN, 1 in 3 women would sacrifice a full year of their life for their ideal body type. That means not you, but you would sacrifice a full year for a set of Miranda Kerr legs. To be honest, I would probably sacrifice a year too. For a flatter stomach, that seems like a pretty good bargain. But why? Why do we have this ideal body type that we all strive to obtain? 2 words: mass media. We live in a world that sends us all sorts of messages from mass media, whether it's a new Lady Gaga video or the new ad for Gucci perfume. We face these images every day. We're constantly processing messages from mass media, indicating what society views as beautiful. And what do we see? An unattainable fantasy. Television, film, and the print media have displayed a world that deceives the reflection of society. Advertising provides an unrealistic and detrimental epitome of women nowadays. A clear image has been painted on the canvas. Stick thin is beautiful. And the sad part is we believe it. We see these deceitful mirages and we think, why can't I have those arms? We see the illusion and yet we don't see the trick. And it's simple, really. Photoshop. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, well, duh, of course mass media uses Photoshop. But do you really know to what extent? I used to think that they maybe airbrushed an occasional pimple or took off some eye bags from a model's rough night. But in reality, it's a tad bit more extreme. In a Dove campaign, we can see the drastic changes that occur to a regular face to create the delusion we see every day. The girl before the shoot, we see her everywhere. This is that girl. We see her at the supermarket. We see her at school. She is our everyday Sally Smith, no more different than you or me. And yet not one of us would pass her by in the hallway and go, well, you know what? She would make one hell of a model. And yet she is. Because Photoshop helps her, it masks her. This is that girl after the shoot. No wonder our perception of beauty is distorted. No wonder we see this and we think, I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough. Because the media lies. And the thing is, we're impacted by these influences from such a young age that we aren't even aware of what's happening to our perceptions. But before I go on, I'd like to introduce you to a good friend of mine. I think you've all met her before, but if you haven't, don't worry, she's really nice. Her name is Barbie. Actually, I had a wide range of Barbies when I was growing up, and like my friend Jana, we would go over and we would play with them all day, just like changing their shoes and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that most of the girls in here had Barbies or some other sort of dolls. And maybe you boys had Ken, G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, all of whom, may I point out, were tall and had a set of rock-hard abs. So, from such a young age, we have these influences upon us, these perfect lives that they lead. They get everything and anything that they want. And as children, our versions of reality are so fragile that we think it's because of their appearance. And why wouldn't we? All dolls are purposely created to be beautiful. Because who would buy an ugly doll? The truth is, even Barbie lies. Oh, did I say I play softball? Yeah. Even Barbie lies. Her proportions are actually a freak of nature. These are her proportions drawn on an average US woman. Look at her waist. It's like tiny. Her neck, it's a toothpick. Her chin is basically non-existent. Her eyes are massive. And her boobs are so high up, she could probably eat off them. And if Barbie were life-size, she would be maybe, what, like 7 feet tall? How is that beautiful? We have the longing to reach this insanely impossible body image that we think most of the world acquires. The ugly truth is that less than 5% of the world has the perfect body. It's just that we see that 5% plastered all over billboards and starring in movies every day. So we desperately need to try and ignore the tricks and just see it as it is. And I'm not saying that we can completely ignore the pressures society pushes on us, or the ones we push on ourselves. All I'm saying is that we need to try and disregard the impossible expectations and just accept ourselves for who we are. Because, ladies and gentlemen, life in plastic really isn't fantastic. Thank you.
Hey, Ben. I think I'm too short.
Well, that's all right, Tarina. I'm still beautiful.
Anyway, let's see who's next. This girl, she loves her iPhone, let me tell you. And trust me, you don't want to be using your iPhone right now. You want to be listening to her. What are you doing, Ben?
Sorry.
Well, unlike Ben here, this girl doesn't spend her free time on Facebook, but instead plays the cello and piano and helps elementary schoolers. Here to change your perceptions on technology, let's give a big round of applause for Jean Uchupalanan.
By the time I finish talking, 550 hours of video will be uploaded onto YouTube. 5,500,000 statuses will be posted onto Facebook, and 2,200,000 tweets on Twitter. You're right, this talk is going to be about technology. And just like all the other talks, I know you're secretly wishing you can just pause my speech so you don't have to sit through it. Now you can easily do this by taking out your cell phone or turning on your laptop. Now, it's completely ironic that I'm giving this speech right now. I, like 60% of the teenage population, am addicted to my cell phone. I use it when I'm in the car, when I'm eating, when I'm walking, when I'm in the bathroom, and even sometimes when I'm in class. And yet, I am here today to tell all of you that our use of technology is hurting us and something needs to be done about it, now. In the process of researching, I came across a book written by Sherry Turkle. The book is called Driven by Sherry Turkle. Turkle is an MIT professor who has dedicated her life to the study of technology and how it has affected human lives. The book is called Alone Together: Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Each Other. So, alone together. How can you be alone and at the same time be with someone? Or how can you be with someone and at the same time not be with them? Well, here's a photo I took with my family and our friends. This is a scene you can find practically everywhere. In restaurants, malls, coffee shops, people are constantly on their cell phones and pausing the world around them. When you hold a cell phone or any kind of technology, you disconnect yourself from the real world and enter a second world, a virtual world. Now, cell phones aren't the only way that technology has separated us. Think of a Skype call. In a Skype call, I often find myself saying, "What?" Or, "Sorry, say that again?" Because on Skype, you can be on YouTube, Facebook, Tumblr, and the person on the other side may never find out. It's as if technology is creating a barrier that prevents us from giving each other our full attention. So, the main question is, what is it in technology that makes it so appealing to everyone? Well, have you ever been in that situation where you can't find the right words and everything you say comes out wrong? Well, you're saved. Meet online messaging. When you message someone, you can edit your messages, prepare what you're going to say, and even delete the messages you already sent. You can say what you really want to say, the things you might not be able to say in real life. In fact, 95% of text messages are things that would have been left unsaid in real life. Turkle in her book brings up the idea of control. Because you can do anything you want, because you can talk to whoever you want to, because you can hide what you don't want others to see, you feel like you are in control. But of course, talking online is nothing like communicating in real life. Emotions are lost. You can't have eye contact. You can't hear the happiness, the angriness, or the hurt in their voices. And this way, feelings end up getting hurt. Is technology bringing us closer, or is it pushing us further apart? On the internet, we can become whoever we want to be. I want y'all to meet someone. Ladies and gentlemen, my internet twin. I'm pretty sure you all have one too. You can Photoshop your internet twin's photo until he or she is pretty enough, skinny enough, or cool enough. I mean, would any of you be willing to post a photo of yourself recently woken up with bed hair and half-closed eyes? No, right? You see, on the internet, You can customize yourself. You can become whoever you want to be. Our profiles aren't showing people who we really are. It's showing a fantasy of who we want to be. I'm not saying our Facebook profiles are a lie. I mean, I don't post any lies on my Facebook profile. According to Turkle's interviewees, their Facebook profile shows just a part of who they are. Now, the parts they hide aren't bad. They just don't want their internet twins to be represented that way. Anybody who knows me in real life would definitely know about my obsession with the color pink and, of course, Hello Kitty. And yet, I was stalking myself last night, and I did not find one single thing Hello Kitty related. Our use of technology is affecting each and every single one of us internally. Because the public can see everything we post, we become obsessed with what we upload. And do you know what happens when we're constantly thinking about what we're doing? Reduced self-esteem. Loneliness is a horrible feeling. No one wants to be alone, and at the same time, we're afraid of intimacy. We're afraid of letting in people in too close. We're afraid that too much contact may bore each other out. That's why we depend so much on technology to provide us with the perfect relationship. Not too far, not too close, but just right. Even though you may be physically alone, the thought that someone is just a tap away gives you the warm feeling of being together. Now, on the internet, people often post about their lives. There's even a term for this. A me-former is a person whose posts are related to their thoughts or feelings. An analysis by Rutgers University shows that 80% of the people on the internet post about their lives. From my own experience, these posts are about their own problems. There's even a website for this. Postsecrets.com is a website where people post about their problems and random strangers can comment. It's as if we'd rather seek comfort from technology rather than the people around us. This brings me to the second part of Turkle's book title, Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Each Other. Now, I'm not here today because I think we should stop using technology to socialize. I'm not even going to try to convince anyone to reduce it. I know firsthand that it's going to be very, very difficult. But I believe that we truly need to change our perception and become more aware of how we use it. The next time you find yourself reaching for your cell phone, ask yourself, do I really need to use this right now? And the next time, before going onto Twitter and pouring your heart out about how much the world hates you, try talking to someone, family, friends, cousin, dog, anyone. We are losing our ability to communicate with each other. A 16-year-old Turkle interviewed said, someday, but certainly not now, I would love to learn how to have a conversation. Make some time for others. Give them a chance at your full attention. Listen to them. Please don't press the pause button. And most importantly, make time for yourself. You have no idea how much thinking time you can have just on a car ride back home. Don't rely on the internet to show people who you really are. Start loving the person you see in front of your mirror and not the one on your screen. Thank you.
Gene, thanks for that inspiring talk. Come on, guys, don't look so sleepy. We just have one talk left. And trust me, you want to hear this guy. We did save the best for last.
All right, so our last speaker has grown up in Thailand and the United States, which gives him a new perspective on culture. He is constantly present in community service, and when he grows up, he wants to see people less judged by their ethnicity and more judged by their character. Please give it up for Chris Shook.
Imagine you were that new kid, and when you walked into a classroom, you noticed everyone was wearing red-colored underwear on their heads. They looked ridiculous to you, and you were trying not to laugh at them. But in the meantime, they all started laughing at you because you didn't wear red-colored underwear on your head. This may be an absurd example, but this is how different cultures can sometimes interact with each other. There is this distinct lack of understanding. And this social dilemma will be put to the ultimate test as the thousands of different cultures from around the world flow into multiple nations as part of the ever-expanding immigration flow. But we hear the word culture nearly every day. What is the true definition of culture? According to dictionary.com, culture is the particular beliefs or ethics of a social or ethnic group. So, that leads me back to the question, who was wrong? You or the students wearing red underwear on their heads? If culture is indeed the particular beliefs of a social group, you obviously came from a different culture. Hence, if you think about it, this isn't a question of right or wrong, but a question of acceptance and understanding. And this lack of understanding is what causes devastating social problems such as racism, segregation, and apartheid, which have all occurred throughout the history of humankind. And that is why today I'm going to talk about how and why countries need to establish multicultural societies. So, what is multiculturalism? Well, in my personal belief, it's the concept that different cultures can coexist peacefully in a single nation. And what do some countries have to say about this seemingly wonderful idea? Well, in much of Western Europe, efforts to create a multicultural society have utterly failed, according to German Chancellor Angela Merkel, France's ex-president Nicolas Sarkozy, and British Prime Minister David Cameron. Now, that's a pretty strong statement. But there is a layer of depth to this. Multiculturalism has failed because it hasn't reached its stage of maturity. Just like that caterpillar in that cocoon, it takes a lot of time to become that beautiful butterfly. Just look at the United States. 143 years after black emancipation, then America elected its first African-American president. The United States is not a perfect multicultural society. It does, however, represent a changing demographic that is slowly reforming our world. Some may say that the difference between America and Europe is that it's possible to be an American in a matter of years. Yet European identity stretches back generations. If this divergence is allowed to happen, there won't simply be a cultural divide, but a national rift that will split the peoples of this world. And why this may be happening now? Just look at the statistics. All across Europe and developed nations, birth rates are falling and populations are graying. It is estimated by in 2050, 1 in 3 Europeans will be 65 or older. The salad of cultures has started, and we forgot to add the dressing that was needed to unify the different people. I don't have all the solutions, but I do have 3 ideas that correlate with the integration of identity and the integration of host country values. So, let's first start off with identity. We need to get away from this idea. If you're not born European or whatever ethnicity, there's no way to become that true citizen. And this will always be a challenge for immigrants, for no matter how hard they try, they will always remain as that Turk, that outsider, and they will always be remained with the stereotypes that come with it. Secondly, acceptance. Let's all for a moment accept the fact that we're all part of a sovereign nation, and let's act in accordance and in unity. We need this sharing of different cultures to have a same mutual understanding. My third one is language. It is advantageous, in fact desirable, for an immigrant to learn his or her host country's language. That does not mean he or she must forsake his or her mother tongue. I believe that all these solutions can come together. People will be able to unite under one flag, held together by the diversity of the nation and the love for their roots. So, don't worship diversity, celebrate it. So, I may be talking about Europe and the US, so how does this relate to us, right? We're in Thailand. Well, a few weeks ago, a teacher asked what the special occasion was on Wednesday. Everyone said, that Gangnam Style guy, Psy was coming to town. But yeah, that's cool and everything. Maybe we can learn about Korean K-pop. But we forgot about the culture right at our doorsteps. That day was also Loi Krathong. It seems as if we're stuck in this miniature enclave. And we regard other cultural traditions as something so trivial as red underwear. This integration concept, we can use it in our lives. It makes us more aware of the country and of where we live. And that is important, considering we are the guests. So, until we try to learn Thailand's culture, or the culture of any other place we choose to reside in, we cannot call ourselves multicultural. So, here's a challenge for the international community here at ISB. How multicultural can you be? Thank you.
Wow, Chris, thanks for a great wrap-up.
Yeah, Ben, in fact, I feel like all the talks today have exemplified Ted's core beliefs just so well.
This evening has been incredibly successful, and one would not have been without the help of some key people.
So let's first give a round of applause to our English teachers, Mr. Miller, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Giles, and Mr. Fitzgerald.
We'd also like to thank Ms. Carrie Fitzgerald, Ms. Julia Price, and Ms. Michelle Jamgoshen.
We also want to give a big round of applause to our tech department and Mr. Christopher Bell, without whom we would be watching this in complete darkness. And also the junior Alex Roberts for creating these handmade.
Oh, these beautiful signs that you see. So, thanks, Alex. And finally, let's thank all of the TED Talkers. Woo!
And also, we want to thank you guys for being such an amazing audience and listening to us so well. And this TED hasn't just been about the talks, but it's been about all of us as humans.
Change the world. Be inspired.
And remember, an idea is limitless.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay.